Hello everybody, my name is Emma and today I'm going to be sharing with you my May TBR. So in the month of May, there are two things that are going on that I really need to participate in. The first one is really boring, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. So over the course of the month of May and the first few days of June, I'm going to be completing the first of my final two classes of my master's, which is insane. The course that I'm running first is Writing Land and Place, and it's a Canadian author filled syllabus. So in the next week, because I have a proposal due right away, I have to read 4 books. But I'm excited about them because I've been really excited about this class for a while and I want to share the books that I'm going to be reading. So the first one is actually one that I've started already. It is Kyle McClear's Birds Art Life. This is a memoir, journal, sketchbook, all kinds of stuff in one. It's really beautiful. Kyle McClear is a Japanese Canadian author and this is her like year in the life kind of memoir, where she's struggling to go through her father's illness, dealing with that herself as an artist, and looking for some inspiration, that kind of thing. But I'm excited about it. I've already really been enjoying it, and yeah, it's gonna be great. Next up is going to be Diane Brand's A Map to the Door of No Return, Notes to Belonging. So this again is like a kind of memoir. Diane Brand is one of my favorite authors ever. I read her other book, At the Full and Change of the Moon, which is a fiction novel if you guys are interested. It's like a historical fiction family chronology kind of book. It follows the descendants of one main character from the beginning in 1824 and goes through all of their descendants and what they've been up to after their ancestor makes this really important decision. It's a really great book. This one again is a memoir and I'm like really excited to read it. Next up quickly is Robin Kimberer's Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants. This is pretty straightforward. It is a set of nature essays all about plants and the relationship between plants and land, and the relationship between what it means to be a Indigenous Canadian and the land, a non-Indigenous Canadian in the land, how to use the land for healing, all that kind of stuff. I'm really excited. I've read a section of this for another class and I think I'm gonna really enjoy it. And then the last of my first week of May's reading is going to be There Is a Season by Patrick Lane. This again is another memoir. This one is a bit more intense though. It is dealing with addiction and loss and recovery in BC in Canada. This one has a few trigger warnings that my professor gave us, specifically violence, sexual assault, addiction, that kind of thing. So if you're not okay with reading that, I wouldn't recommend this, but apparently it's fantastic. It was the inaugural winner of the British Columbia Award for Canadian Nonfiction and the winner of the Lieutenant Governor's Award for Literary Excellence. So this one I'm most excited to read, I think, out of all of them. But yeah. Okay, now with those out of the way. The other thing that I'm really excited about happening in May is actually the Asian readathon. May is Asian Heritage Month, and to celebrate that, over on the BookTube channel Read with Cindy, Cindy has created for the second year in a row the Asian readathon. So it's just a way to celebrate different Asian authors and their works, Asian characters and their stories. I participated last year and I absolutely adored it, so this year I'm going to be participating again. I tried to pick as many books as I could that were already on my shelf, and I managed to pick a majority of books that were already on my shelf, which I'm excited about. And I tried to pick the most like diverse range of ethnicities to read from as well, to try and celebrate all of them. But yeah, and there are 4 prompts and then there's one group book that we're going to be reading. So the first prompt is to just read a book by an Asian author, and so what I've chosen for that is to read An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Sabaa Tahir is a Pakistani American author and I've had this book on my list for a long time. It's a high fantasy dealing with siblings and a I think it's like a magical academy and political intrigue, all this kind of stuff that I adore. So I've heard many people tell me to read it, specifically Joe over at Average Joe Reads. I've heard him talk about this a lot, so I'm very excited to get into this. Next up are 2 sequels, or one of these I read during Asian Readathon last year. The other one I read at the end of the year, and it was one of my favorite books of all time. The first one fits the prompt for to read a book with an Asian character or by an Asian author that you can relate to. So for that, I chose to read a book by a Asian woman author, and for that I've chosen to read Girls of Storm and Shadow by Natasha Nan. Natasha Nan is a Chinese Malaysian author. I'm a woman, she's a woman. I chose to read a book by another female author, and this is the sequel to Girls of Paper and Fire, which was one of my all-time favorite books and a favorite of last year, absolutely. This is a high fantasy world inspired by Asian culture, like multiple Asian cultures, I believe, that has shape-shifting. It has demons and demon-born characters. It follows Lei, who becomes a paper girl. Basically, they are women who are chosen to live at the palace and basically be the concubines to the demon king. This book features lots of magic, lots of badass female characters, and actually a female-female romance, which is amazing to read in fantasy. And the first book was just so intense and so incredible, and I absolutely adored it. So this sequel follows Lei and Ren after the events of the first book, and it immediately picks up from the first book, and I've been dying to read this for a long time, so I'm very excited about this. Next up, for the prompt of reading a book by an Asian author or featuring an Asian character that you can't relate to, that is different from you. As Cindy mentioned in her announcement video, since I am not Asian myself, any book by an Asian author will count for this challenge, or featuring an Asian character. But for this one, I chose another sequel. This one is Soul of the Sword by Julie Kagawa. Julie Kagawa is a Japanese-American writer, and it is the sequel to The Shadow of the Fox. I read this last Asian readathon and absolutely adored it. It follows Yumeko, who is a kitsune shapeshifter, basically meaning that she can shapeshift into a fox. It tells her story after she was tasked by the people who raised her to take this special scroll to a certain temple, the Steel Feather Temple, in order to prevent the rising of a horrible demon. The first book was really intense and really fast-paced, action-paced. I loved the characters, I loved the main character, I loved the story, and I'm really excited to continue. It is a high fantasy, Japanese-inspired story, and I absolutely adored it. The next two books I don't actually have physical copies of quite yet because they're on their way. The first is The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi. This book is going to complete the challenge of reading a book recommended to you by an Asian person. This I actually chose from Cindy's 2019 Asian Readathon TBR. I've been wanting to read this book for a long time. I love Roshni Chokshi's writing. I read her Star-Touched Queen, which is like a Hades Persephone retelling, which was so good. I really liked it. And I also read her Middle Grade, which is under the Rick Riordan Presents imprint. That is a middle grade fantasy, urban fantasy inspired by Hindu mythology, which I really loved, called Arusha in the End of Time. I'm actually going to be reading Gilded Wolves, which is a like 8th or 19th century heist kind of story. It's got found family, plenty of diverse characters, and they all have to kind of like band together to steal a very powerful artifact, I believe. I don't know a whole lot about it, to be honest, but I've heard nothing but good things. Specifically, Heather over at Aphrodite Reads recommends this to like everybody, and I've been desperate to read it for a long time, so this was the perfect excuse. Roshni Chokshi is an Indo-Filipino author, and I absolutely adore her. If you guys don't follow her on Instagram, you really should, because she's got such great fashion sense. She's really funny. I love her relationship with her husband. They're both adorable, and they're really funny to interacting together. And then as well, she also, in the recent events of the pandemic and quarantine, she's been doing a ton of baking and cooking, and like I'm living for her recipes and her food pictures, because they're just making me want to do all the baking. But I'm very excited to read that. And then last up, the last book on my May TBR is going to be Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This is the group book, optional group book for this readathon. Cindy is hosting a read-along as well as a watch-along for the Hulu TV show adaptation done by Reese Witherspoon's TV group, production crew, I believe. I'm really excited to watch that, so I'm really excited to read the book as well. It's a literary fiction novel that I genuinely know nothing about, except that, again, I've heard amazing things about it. don't read a lot of literary fiction, as you guys know, so this is going to be a bit outside my comfort zone, but it's something that I've wanted to read for a long time, so I'm very excited to get my hands on it. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys are going to be reading anything on my list next month, please let me know down in the comments below. If you're participating in Asian readathon, let me know as well, and let me know if you guys are going to be reading any of the same books or other books that you're going to be reading. Put some recommendations in the comments below. I'd love to have more Asian representation and recommendations from you guys. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up because it really supports my channel, and if you're new here, please subscribe. I put out new bookish videos every week, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.